a handicap in one area can be compensated, and overcame insurmountable obstacles with an iron will and a strong determination. Speaking of present-day Islamic scholars, there are many prominent ones without degrees. All come to mind as examples, yet there are many more. On the other hand, there are thousands of holders of PhD degrees in the Islamic world who remain obscure and who have had no impact on society. Can you, O Muhammad, find a single one of them, or hear even a whisper of them? You have a great treasure with you if you are of the type who is contented with any situation. The Prophet said in an authentic hadith, "Be contented with what Allah has apportioned for you, and you will be the richest of people. Be contented with your family, your income, your car, and your job. If you are contented with all of these, then you will have found happiness and peace." And in another authentic hadith, the Prophet said richness is the richness of the soul. He also said, "O Allah, make his wealth be in his heart." A man related that he once entered a taxi at the airport and ordered the driver to take him to the city. He said, "I noticed that the driver was happy and good-humored. He would constantly praise Allah, thank him and remember him. I asked him about his family, and he said that he was the breadwinner for 2 families. Meanwhile, his monthly salary was a paltry sum of 800 riyals, and he and his family had to live in a run-down building, yet his mind was at peace, because he was thankful for what Allah had allotted for him." The narrator then went on to say, "I felt amazed when I compared this man to others who lead a life of affluence, with money, luxury, cars, and large mansions. In spite of such opulence, they live such miserable lives, and upon reflection I realized that happiness is not in wealth. I knew a tycoon who had hundreds of millions and a number of mansions. He was miserable in his relationships, always seething with anger and always brooding in a state of depression. He died estranged from his family, and he went through all of this misery because he was not satisfied with what Allah gave him. After all that he desires, that I should give more. Nay, verily, he has been stubborn and opposing our ayat, proofs, evidences, verses, lessons, signs, revelations. Centuries ago in Arabia, one would find peace by isolating himself in the desert and far away from human activity. A poet said, "The wine of the fox, I have developed a liking for it. Then I heard the voice of a man, and I almost flew away from contempt for it." Sufyan al-Thawri said, "I long to be in an obscure valley without anyone knowing me." The Prophet, blessings and peace be upon him, said in a hadith, "The time is near when the best wealth of a Muslim will be sheep, with which he follows the places of rain and the paths of mountains. He will be fleeing with his religion from trials. In times of tribulation, the struggles of Muslims among themselves, the safest option for a Muslim is to run away from them. When Uthman was wrongfully murdered and Muhammad al-Zayd stayed away from ensuing trials, may Allah be pleased with them all. I know people who have been afflicted with poverty, misery, and depression. In the case of every one of them, the cause of their downfall was that they were far away from Allah. You will find that one of them was rich, comfortable, and in a state of good health from his Lord. But then he turned away from the obedience of Allah. He was negligent in performing his prayers, and he began to commit major sins. So Allah the Almighty took away his wealth and health and wealth, and replaced them with the hardship of poverty, worry, and anxiety. He went from misery to misery, from low point to a point that was even lower. But whosoever turns away from my reminder neither believes in this Quran nor acts on its orders. Verily, for him is a life of hardship. That is so because Allah will never change a grace which He has bestowed on a people until they change what is in their own selves. And whatever misfortune befalls you, it is because of what your hands have earned, and He pardons much. If the non-Muslims had believed in Allah and went on the right way, Islam, we should surely have bestowed on them water, ruin in abundance. If I were able to perform a miracle, I would remove off you your troubles and grief. However, being bereft of the ability thereof, I will suffice by prescribing for you a medical prescription that is given by the scholars of Islam. It is to worship the Creator without associating any partner with Him in worship, to be contented with your provision, to be abstemious, and to decrease the level of your expectations for this life. The famous American psychologist William James spoke these words that caught my attention.